Over the years, we have seen, even in the most developed part of the world, we've seen bridges collapse. Even in the United States of America, the recent one that happened there in Minnesota was astonishing. So we thought we should be able to protect our bridge infrastructure in this country. So we decided to be proactive about it. And at the time we came, the ministry had already started sharing intelligence with Lagos State government, because Lagos State has the concentration of the highest number of bridges in this country.
Further to this, the council approved the replacement of 8 expansion joints on the third mainland bridge in Lagos at a sum of 1.05 billion naira. Council also received a report on the progress made by satellites launched by Nigeria earlier in the year from the Minister of Science and Technology, Professor Okon Basi Ewa. Information Minister Labaran Maku explained that the satellites launched were observation constellations, which are already providing vital information.
These satellites will be helping the development of the country. A number of the areas they outlined to other MDAs, which we could then use the satellites to achieve, include monitoring settlements, development of slums, monitoring population growth, because these satellites are able to map out all human settlements and houses, and by there you can determine the kind of houses and the likely people living in those areas. Also, in terms of natural disasters, these satellites are already providing us a lot of good uses, such as when there was
This week's meeting was presided over by Vice President Namadi Sambo, with President Goodluck Jonathan away in France for the Honorary International Investors Council meeting. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, STV News.
President Goodluck Jonathan today led a federal government delegation on a 3-day official visit to France for meetings of the Honorary International Investor Council HICC, scheduled to hold between November the 23rd and the 25th. A statement by the president's spokesman, Dr. Reuben Abati, said the president would, on the first day of the visit, attend a reception for African ambassadors organized by the Nigerian Embassy in Paris. Dr. Abati said during the session, Minister of Power, Professor Bath Naji, would present a report on the progress in the power sector, while the theme, internal security issues, realistic options, would be addressed by Governor Kashim Shettima of Borno State. President Jonathan is the chairman of the HICC, which works with the Nigerian Investment Promotion Council and has the responsibility to take practical steps to attract foreign direct investment into Nigeria, while Baroness Linda Chalker is the coordinator of the council. Our members of the council are top-level international and local personalities who can authorize or influence investment decisions of companies and countries. President Goodluck Jonathan has approved the immediate appointment of Engineer Adamu Ismaila as the new Executive Secretary of the Federal Capital Development Authority. A statement signed by the Permanent Secretary of the FCT administration, Dr. Biodun Nathaniel, hinted that Engineer Ismaila, who is a Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, has been a Director in the Federal Capital Development Authority since 2007 and was the Chief of Staff to the Minister of the FCT between July 2007 and October 2008. A delegation from the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation has visited the headquarters of the Industrial Training Fund in Jos to assess its activities. Our correspondent David King covered the visit.
The Industrial Training Fund, ITF, says it is aligning its programs and activities with the tenets of the federal government's transformation agenda, Division 2020 and Millennium Development Goals. Director General of ITF, Professor Longmas Wakmuk, stated this when a team from the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation paid an assessment visit to the fund's headquarters in Jos.
From our mandate, you will see that we have a very big responsibility to provide adequate trained manpower for the needs of the Nigerian economy, provide training guidelines and monitor implementation of approved training programs, then assess impact of training in the economy, and conduct and assist organizations to carry out research, view, update operational strategies and plans, and we also implement all federal government reform agenda as they relate to our mandate.
So Wakmuk said one of the obstacles the ITF is facing is funding.
The second source of income is annual subvention from the federal government. Our sources of funding are, by law, we have two sources from the 1% of annual payroll of liable employers of labor that have up to 25 workers and above as a statutory contribution.
He said the ITF has designed a 10-year strategic plan to guide the fund's activities.
Realizing that no nation can thrive without technical vocational education and training, in view of its multiplier effect on the economy, the fund articulated comprehensive strategies in its 10-year strategic plan to serve as roadmap in actualizing and sustaining its mandate. This is with a view to facilitating the realization of the federal government's transformation program and the Millennium Development Goals.
Leader of the SSG delegation, Abdul Garba, said the office of the SSG will advise the government on how best to reposition the ITF. He said his delegation will profile a second opinion to the federal government on areas where there have been clashes of choices.
The Economic Affairs Office in particular is responsible with all economic matters of government. And it is there to advise the SGF and also to advise government, one, on the level of implementation of policies and programs, the direction of policies and programs, and also, in most cases, also provide a second opinion on matters to do with those specific mandates.
The 4-day visit will end on Thursday. In Jos, David King, STV News.
The rest of the news continues in a moment. Do stay with us. In the highlights, President Jonathan pledges government's commitments to transformation and economic renewal. The Federal High Court grants bail to Senator Aline Dume for 25 million naira and 2 sureties. On the foreign scene, US, UN condemn brutal clashes in Egypt, warns against human rights violation. Still in the news, despite international indifference, North Korea mourns the death of their leader, Kim Jong-il. Good evening, thanks for joining us on News at 10. I'm ONYI Sunday. A bomb factory has been discovered near the National Eye Hospital at Mondo in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State following a massive explosion which destroyed a few houses in the area. According to an eyewitness, the explosion occurred about 1:30 this afternoon from a building close to the Eye Hospital. The heavy explosion forced residents in the area to run out of their homes for safety. 3 persons were arrested after the explosion. The bomb detonated prematurely, according to the police, causing serious injury to 3 men now receiving treatment at St. Gerard's Hospital under police custody. Items discovered in the apartment were 10 cartridges loaded with bullets, 500-kilogram bag filled with bullets, 3 AK-47 rifles, a submachine gun, and containers of unexploded bombs. Well, President of the Senate, David Mark, has frowned at a situation where Nigerian soldiers who die in peacekeeping operations are given secret burials, saying they deserve national honors. Senator Mark stated this when he was decorated with this year's emblem of the Armed Forces Remembrance in Abuja. He stressed that those who die in wars or peacekeeping missions are heroes that must be celebrated. Senator Mark, however, praised the nation's armed forces for always rising to the challenge of national unity and keeping Nigeria as one indivisible entity. Well, staying with the President of the Senate, David Marcus told the International Monetary Fund to make their economic and financial policies friendly to Africa, adding that a policy that does not work for a supposed beneficiary is unnecessary. Senator Mark told the visiting Managing Director of IMF, Christine Lagarde, in Abuja today that any economic policy that brings pains rather than succor to the people is worthless. He asked the IMF to put necessary measures in place to ameliorate the shock on the nation's economy resulting from the crisis in the European economy. The President of the Senate was pleased to note that IMF was interested in the Reforms and Transformation Program of Nigeria and assured that the legislature will partner with the executive arm of government to make it work. Earlier, Lagarde briefed the principal officers of the Senate on the global economic trend and asked developing nations to put safeguard measures in place to absorb the shock from the economic crisis in Europe. Well, President Goodluck Jonathan has pledged his government's total commitment to ensuring that the country becomes a much bigger player in the global economy. The president was speaking today at State House, Abuja, during a meeting with the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde. State House correspondent Kehinde Amodu reports.
The International Monetary Fund, IMF, is best known for its conditionalities,